Welcome back, everybody. This is Michael Leveris from jurisq.com with a personal injury attorney in Dayton, Ohio, Kevin Attkisson. Kevin, welcome back.
Thank you, Michael. Great to be with you.
Thank you. Kevin, in our previous session, we talked about truck accidents in Dayton, Ohio. The injuries could be gruesome, catastrophic. There's a certain approach you have to take to truck accidents cases. Now, what about motorcycle accidents? Unfortunately, they happen all the time, and there likewise the injuries could be catastrophic, and there's a certain way you have to litigate those cases. What do you say?
Absolutely. Thank you. And yes, my law firm handles many motorcycle accidents. I've personally handled very many over my 26-year career. And yes, it's motorcycle accidents. Unfortunately, if you get into an accident on a motorcycle, injuries can and we often see are more serious than if somebody is in an actual car. Right. And so that's the first issue we have with these cases. The other issue we have is it's depending on who's on the other side. Is in terms of if you get in a wreck with somebody in a car, somebody in a commercial truck, things like that. We always want to find out who the insurance company is for the at-fault driver. If you have catastrophic injuries from a motorcycle accident, or God forbid worse, you need to look for insurance from the at-fault driver. Unfortunately, in Ohio, there's state minimum insurance requirements of $25,000. If you've got catastrophic injuries, obviously $25,000 is not going to be sufficient to compensate somebody with significant losses. The average policy in Ohio is $100,000. That still may not be enough to compensate somebody with catastrophic injuries or worse. And so we always recommend to our clients who are motorcycle riders to carry what's called uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage. Okay. And unfortunately, insurance agents who sell these policies, they look at it from a liability standpoint as opposed to an underinsured motorist standpoint. So if somebody's on a motorcycle and they crash into a car, from a liability standpoint, the insurance agents think, well, it's not going to do that much damage. You don't need that much insurance coverage. And so insurance agents, and we see it all the time, are selling motorcycle riders these state minimum policies with $25,000. And then when the person gets their own uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage, it's going to be the same amount. And so they've just now, for liability purposes, $25,000 may be plenty if you're a motorcycle rider and you cause a wreck. But if you get into a wreck with an uninsured motorist and it's the other person's fault, you need to have much more than $25,000 to protect yourself. And this is one of the problems we see over and over again with motorcycle accidents.
That's
that the
great advice.
Motorcycle rider has not protected themselves enough. And I always encourage them to get lots of uninsured motorist coverage, underinsured motorist coverage. In the whole scheme of things, you have to have insurance anyways. That additional coverage is not that expensive.
Exactly.
Well worth the money that you pay. So we always encourage people to get plenty of underinsured motorist coverage.
Yeah, if you're a motorcycle rider, definitely check your coverage. Like Kevin said, make sure that it's enough and increase it if need be. Yeah. Let me ask you a follow-up question, Kevin. Different states have different laws on wearing helmets. I don't know what the law is in Ohio. Wearing a helmet while driving a motorcycle. For example, if somebody who was injured was not wearing a helmet, whether it's a law or not, does it have any bearing on their compensation? Can the insurance company say, "Oh, you were at fault for not wearing a helmet"? So
you're not legally required to wear a helmet in the state of Ohio. Most people do. We encourage people to, but you're not legally required to wear a helmet, and therefore that cannot be used against you in some sort of comparative negligence way or some sort of assumption of the risk or anything like that. So no, if you're hurt and your injuries are more serious as a result of not wearing a helmet, then the insurance companies can't use that against you, and you still are entitled to full compensation regardless.
Okay.
Unlike a seatbelt, which is if you don't wear a seatbelt in a car, which is ironically that's the law, but the motorcycle helmet is not. But if you don't wear a seatbelt in a car, under some circumstances that can be used against you, not necessarily in a comparative negligence sense, but in a sense that they can look at it and decide, okay, how would you have been hurt less or differently had you been wearing a seatbelt as opposed to not wearing a seatbelt?
Very
And so
interesting,
it's just
very interesting.
it's interesting how
Yeah.
there's a seatbelt law, but there's not a helmet law. When there should actually, if there's going to be one, there should be both actually.
See, this shows me how important it is to go to an attorney who does personal injury and just personal injury, right, Kevin? Because that's all you do.
That's all we do, correct?
Yeah, because other attorneys, they wear many different hats. They don't know the nuances or details of various situations that arise in
Yes.
personal injury, whereas you have seen it all in court and outside the court.
Absolutely. For 26 years, that's all I've done is represent injury victims.
Yeah.
You do not want me to write your will. You do not want me for your criminal case. But if you've been hurt in an accident, we know these things inside and out. Not just me, but the other lawyers in the office as well, and our staff is great too.
Perfect. Yeah, and Kevin, and thanks again for sharing your knowledge with us, for educating our viewers, our listeners. However, this is all very general. We're just giving you food for thought to consider. If you were injured or your loved ones were injured in an accident on the roads of Ohio, please give a call for a consultation, which I understand is free, correct, Kevin?
That is correct. Absolutely. We're always happy to talk to people and see if we can help.
Perfect. For a free consultation, the phone number is on the bottom of the screen. Thank you. And we're going to come back for our next session shortly, and we're going to talk about whom can I sue after a car accident. You may be surprised, but there are different pockets that you can approach, correct? Different defendants you can go after, and we're going to discuss all that in our next session. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks.